Well, somebody was asking me for an update to my TRT that I started taking a few months ago, testosterone replacement therapy. And let's see, since we are halfway through June, April, May, I think I started in April. April, May, June, April to May, May to June. I'm just trying to think, how long has it been? It couldn't have been 2 months. Had to have been March. I think I started in March sometime. I'm just not sure right now. I'd have to double check. But I started taking some notes last month because I was making some changes in my protocol, and you need to track it. It's important because you are basically going to dial yourself in on these treatments, you know. So they gave me a 150 milligram vial of testosterone. That's what it's been the whole time. And the shots, initially I was at 0.5 milliliter, so half a cc. And 0.5. So that would be like 75 milligrams because one full cc would be the whole 150 milligrams. So 75 milligrams, you could say, twice a week. 0.5 I do on Saturdays, 0.5 I do on Tuesdays, or I was doing. So I'm gonna read you some of my notes. Part of this which I'm not gonna read. It's not important for you guys. Everybody's different, but like I took notes like erection quality from a scale of 1 to 10. You know, how many times we had sex? Was it in a day, a 24-hour period? How many times? You know, or was it a day? You know, once some day, and then we took a day off, or whatever. The next day or 2 days went by, and then we did it again. You know, I was taking notes like that. Did I, finish during those sex acts, if you will? Because again, it's like, well, if you waited a day, no problem. If you tried to do it twice or 3 times in a day, yeah, you might have a problem finishing the second or third time, or maybe the first time and second time, but not the third time. So I don't think that's honestly something that's going to be beneficial to you. It's in there. I'm going to try to skip over it. So you may see me like hesitating as I read some of this, like leaving some of that out. Okay, so I experimented and went from 0.5 down to 0.3, and I mentioned this in I think my last video about this subject. That's a big drop. That's like a pretty big drop, like about 40% or so, 40% drop of what I was injecting myself with testosterone. Now, at that time, I was taking testosterone, anastrozole, which is a estrogen blocker, and I quit taking the enclomiphene, which is supposed to help your NADs not shrink up, and you continue to produce naturally some testosterone, and sperm levels should be somewhat normal. If you stop taking enclomiphene, your NADs will shrink up, and what comes out of you during sex, I'm going to use a word my wife used. It's boogery. Okay? Again, it's just useful information. And a little less is going to come out. That's just purely being on testosterone, right? If you're taking the enclomiphene, I believe it's supposed to. It is supposed to help with that not being too much of an issue. And it was 12.5 milligrams of enclomiphene. They wanted me to take Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But I was playing around with all this stuff. I changed my dose. I stopped taking this. I stopped taking that. And so anyways, and I was taking supplements that most of which had something to do with some point of creating testosterone or helping your body with testosterone, like some just supplements. It's like, why are you messing with all these things at once? You're not supposed to do that. And I did do that. And I dropped it from 0.5 to 0.3, the shot, which was, it's pretty big. And remember, before this updates here, I just started it. It was like, 3-4 months into it. I mean, weeks, 3 or 4 weeks into it. And my libido was absolutely out of control. I've never been like that in my life. The thoughts that came in, and like, it's incredible what hormones can do to a person. Men and women, it's the same. So this is after that, right? I'm like, okay, I'm way too horny. I need to lower this myself, even before my first checkup, which is at 6 weeks what I do when I do the blood work. And then even then it was a few weeks later that they could finally get me in the schedule to go over the blood work. I was like, I'm being proactive here. I'm taking it down to 0.3. I can't live like this. This is crazy. And so my notes were that I took it down to 0.3 and on the testosterone, and 2 times a week, like same as before. I noticed my anger level started to rise with little things making me agitated. I then did 0.4 testosterone in the needle for another couple of times, maybe 3 times. In other words, like Saturday to Tuesday, maybe from Saturday to Tuesday to Saturday. I just couldn't remember if it was 2 times or 3 times. But I also started taking a bunch of supplements that had to do with testosterone. May 18th, I started feeling slightly depressed. I noticed that I was a little bit clingy emotionally to Evelyn for quite a while over the last few weeks. I don't think it was a few weeks. I don't think it was that long, but it was, I'd say a couple weeks. I'd say a couple weeks at least. So maybe 2 or 3 weeks. So I thought maybe my estrogen was a little too high. May have messed it up with the supplement stuff. Now, FYI, and I'll get to this in a minute, I did get my blood work taken on my own, and not through the company I use for the supplements and the testosterone and stuff. And I'll get to those numbers, but it was like a Sunday where I'm like, man, I need to get my blood work to tomorrow because I'm still feeling kind of like depressed a little bit. My libido kind of started failing, like down significantly compared to how it was. Which they say when you mess with your injections and stuff or whatever, you start changing the protocol. Typically, you're going to feel worse before you feel better. So, turn that off. So, I don't know if I raised my testosterone, would it also make me feel worse before it made me feel better? Possibly. People say it can and does. It's just you made an adjustment. You might have a couple of weeks of not feeling great, and then all of a sudden your body adjusts. It's typically about 2 weeks when your body adjusts and goes, okay, here's the new you, just FYI. So, messing with all those supplements. I stopped taking them on May 18th, which is also when I was mentioning I started feeling depressed and all that stuff the last couple of weeks. I'll go back a day, May 17th. I started taking 0.45 on the shot of testosterone, so not 0.5, not 0.4, but right in the middle, 0.45. May 18th, I stopped taking enclomiphene, which is the ball shrinkage one, and won't be taking that or the estrogen blocker, which is the anastrozole, anymore for now. So that was May 18th. That was basically exactly a month ago. May 19th, got blood work done, estrogen 36, which my initial estrogen before taking anything was 39. And that's around the higher side that on the scale regardless, but that was just where I was. And previously my initial checkup when I first started taking this stuff at the 6 weeks, I had 1,300 testosterone and 50 estrogen. This time, estrogen's 36 and testosterone 993. Free testosterone was 21. Did blood work due to me feeling slightly depressed and clingy to Evelyn. So that's my notes. May 20th, next day, 0.45 on the needle, because that was a Tuesday, I believe, but doubling the estrogen blocking pill by taking 2 pills instead of 1. Because again, in my mind, it must be high estrogen making me emotional and like clingy, and that wasn't the case because the numbers did come back as I just mentioned, because I updated my notes on the 19th. Estrogen was only 36. And before it was 50 when I was super horny and crazy like that. And I had no, clingy, depressed feelings or nothing. So I realized the next day after I already took 2 of the blockers, I go, oh crap. I don't need to be taking the blockers if I'm at 36 or at least 2. I should have just took the 1. So I decided, okay, I'll stop that. So May 20th, 45 on the needle. I doubled the thing, the estrogen blocker. I got the results from my blood work, which is why I stopped taking those 2 pills. I thought initially maybe my estrogen was high, but my 6-week checkup in April showed testosterone 1300 and estrogen 50. And I did feel great. Sex drive was insane. And, I was still taking the anastrozole. So I stopped completely taking the anastrozole. I think right after that, May 22nd, had sex that night. Other notes not needed to give you. Everything was good. May 24th, took 0.45 testosterone and no estrogen blocking pills or enclomiphene. So I stopped taking both of those. I'll just put it, very hard erections each time I woke up. Had sex in the morning, but this is too much detail. May 25th, I noticed I didn't have any like middle of the night erection, kind of morning wood, but late at night, you get up to go pee. Again, this is all after making a big change. Woke up still feeling a little bit bummed out, then started feeling a little bit better about an hour later as I'm writing this. May 26th, been feeling pretty good all day. May 27th, started having some fantasies and thoughts of a sexual nature about Evelyn again. So I think the testosterone is about to start kicking in again. Bro. Doing a video. Bro, you got my... Where'd you find that? Where'd you find that?
I don't know.
That's my dowsing rod, bro.
Can I try something down?
Let me pause this. Hang on.
What?
Okay, so where was I? May 26th, feeling pretty good all day. May 27th, started having some fantasies and thoughts of a sexual nature about Evelyn, my wife, again. So I think testosterone is about to start kicking in again, or maybe it already was. Had morning wood and everything. That was good.
Mom said yes.
Okay, then she can make them. Lock. No more interruptions. The sexual thoughts were still present in the morning when I woke up around... when I woke up until around 10:30 a.m. It's currently 4 p.m. as I write this, and those thoughts have not really come back. June 1st, libido is back. We had sex 3 days in a row. And twice in one day, 2 days ago. Started taking DHEA. 25 milligrams every other day. Starting 3 days ago, so that would 3 days before June 1st. June 2nd. Still had morning wood, all was good. Took 25 milligram again of the DHEA, even though I was doing it every other day. I guess I don't know why I took one that day when I was doing it every other day, but I logged it. So June 6th, still good erections night and morning. Had sex twice yesterday, only about 30 minutes apart, which was interesting. Have not been taking any... Okay, so me in the experimenting, they can give you 5 or 6 milligrams of Cialis, and if you take it every day, it's a tiny dose compared to what a normal dosage would be, which is good for for erections. But a lot of bodybuilders and stuff take this stuff because it's good for their pumps when they're working out and blood flow, and it actually has a number of benefits. But I wanted to experiment, so I didn't log it earlier that I was taking some, but I did quit. So you can do daily, and your thing is kind of at half mast, so to speak, kind of ready to go a lot of times, but sometimes it affects your thoughts, like the dirty thoughts and the constant thinking about sex, and it wasn't necessary because I did stop taking it for a while. Then I did it again. I only started up again recently. Now that I've got myself dialed in, basically, and it's noticeable, but it's not a necessity. You don't have to do that. And anyway, so I just mentioned that in my notes. June 6th, have not been taking any Cialis for probably around a week. I started taking. So Tori, you know Tori, when we were having a conversation not too long ago, when she texted me out of nowhere and told me something that I was like, "There's no way she would say that to me right now." Like, there's no way she just said this right now when I needed to hear that. But we ended up talking, texting, and she's like, "You should start on NAD plus injections. It's like, the anti-age thing. It's really good for it's really good for your body." And I was like, "Yeah, I've heard about that." So did a little research, called the company that I've been using for the testosterone stuff. Yeah, we can give you shots. You just have to keep it refrigerated. And yeah, absolutely. So I ordered some. It has nothing to do with, really sex or testosterone or anything like that. But there, if you research, like, let's just say erectile dysfunction in NAD plus or libido NAD plus, whatever, there's some of the sites that, men's clinics and things talk about how it's believed that it can help reverse some of those issues because of the way it helps your body regenerate cells or blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I wasn't getting it for that anyways. I just wanted to research everything I could about it and came across that. So I was just taking it for, maybe the anti-aging thing. I don't know, just whatever. Tori said get it. I'm going to get it. So I 25 milligrams of DHEA, which is just a pill, every other day. Started taking NAD plus injections daily at 0.33 on the syringe. But again, I guess it depends on how much they give you in the vial. But it was 0.33 on the syringe every single day. Every morning I take it and have been up until even now. That was June 6th. Today's the 18th. So we're talking 10, 11, 12 days worth of taking that stuff. June 13th, again, the libido's been good. Activity's been good. Skipping a day occasionally with the missus. Started taking enclomiphene again 3 times a week, which again, 13th. Today's only the 18th. And started taking the microdosing again of the Cialis, because again I was wanting to check just play with this a little bit, and it each time you microdose every day it helps, because it only has a half-life of like 18 hours, 24 hours, no, 36 hours, I think 36 hours, I think. So in the smaller dose you take, the less that is, I think, too. So it's like just enough in your system. It's interesting. But some side effects are like lower back pain, feeling of like slight heartburn. But supposedly if you just kind of power through it for a couple weeks, it goes away. So that was the 13th. June 17th, which was yesterday. Erection quality was, good. Sex was good. Took the shot. It was the testosterone shot. And that was my last update. So basically I'm on the testosterone 0.45, the DHEA every other day, 25 milligrams. This is for men. This is not, what I'm telling you is absolutely not numbers you should be hearing for women if they need testosterone for some reason. Typically they need estrogen and progesterone with a little bit of testosterone if they're doing hormone replacement therapy. They don't need a lot of testosterone to get their libido back in action like us men do. It's way different for them. Just a little tiny bit. Like I tried to do the math on an average injection that they would do for a female of testosterone. And just with what I have doing like 0.45 in my syringe, it would need to be half, I think it was half of 1 cc. Like 0.1 cc. So I'm at 0.45, it'd be 0.1, but half of that. So 0.05. And I think that might even be once a week, which typically when you inject this stuff, like especially testosterone, the best methods seem to be doing it twice a week. Once a week, it doesn't usually last for some guys, Like by the time they get to the 5th or 6th day, it's like waning, and then they kind of have a little downer kind of a feeling in day or two, and they can kind of tell, oh, my testosterone. Then they get their shot, they start to feel a little bit better. So I went right off the bat. I'm doing it 2 times a week. I already did all the research, so I started doing it 2 times a week, pretty much right off the bat. And that's what they wanted me to do anyways from the clinic. So right now, everything's been good. I haven't been getting angry and snappy like when I had dropped it down and all that to 0.3 and all that crap. I'll just tell you, just as a man, but again, it depends on your wife too, because this is not going to be the case for everybody. Just warning. But it was just Father's Day. My wife gave me a nice card with a handwritten letter she wrote to me. It was very nice. And one of the things she said in there was, "It's been nice feeling wanted again. I've been really enjoying it, And I'm coming to you from somebody that was typically doing it once a week for the longest time with my wife. We've been married 22 years. Sometimes twice a week, And she was at a point for the longest time like, can we try to do it 3 times a week? Or at least like a guaranteed twice a week, And I'm like, I'll try, you can't just try. You got to be in the mood. You got to be excited. You got to have some thoughts. You got to have some, you can't just, okay, you can't, it's hard to fake that, so it was tough, and it did not quite work out. So it's like, it's mostly once a week, sorry, so coming from her, she did want to do it more. Now, if you're a couple listening to this and your wife doesn't want to do it as much as maybe you already have or have been, and you go and get on testosterone, you're going to want it more. And even if she obliges and gives you more, it's not going to be one of those things where she's writing you a letter, "Hey, thank you for making me feel wanted." I don't think anyways. Because she's probably like, "I don't really want it much from you, like you don't have to do it that much. I'm good, Ian, stop." So I can't speak for you or your wife, and I don't know, but for Evelyn to write me that, in 22 years of marriage, of her being probably frustrated with me because I had low testosterone my whole life, it was a very nice thing to read. It was very, very nice. If you're going to do this, you're a married couple, like the other person needs to be ready or tell you up front, you get extra horny, you better do something by yourself. You go deal with your extra needs on your own, by yourself, and be upfront with each other. But if the woman's drive isn't there anymore either, she can get on hormone replacement therapy. It's going to increase. So your guy better be ready too on his side. And if he's not, then, again, you might want to do it together. He'll do his testosterone replacement therapy. You'll do your hormone replacement therapy. That way you're both, like you're 20 years old again, instead of just one of you, because it can be rough, but, and it's not just about the sex drive and libido. It's also about emotionally how you feel, or you've been depressed. There's so many women that have been depressed because they're going through perimenopause or something. They get on hormone replacement therapy and their life is completely turned around. They feel wonderful. But before they knew about it, the doctors are prescribing antidepressants and all these other crap, and it's not working. Nothing's working. And they're on them for 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, and they finally figure out, try hormone replacement therapy, and it fixes all of the problems they had, all their emotions, depression, all that stuff. And they threw out their antidepressant medication and wanted to strangle some of their doctors because the doctors just didn't know. Well, you're saying you're depressed. I'm going to give you antidepressants. And it's a freaking hormone thing the whole dang time. So that's kind of my update. I'm still taking notes every now and then, every few days or whatever. because I just want to log it. I'm going to keep tracking all this stuff because this could be very useful in the future for other people as I build this log of me dialing myself in. And okay, I start taking this little thing and I did that and I just changed that a little bit, and not doing all these changes all at once and crazy numbers and big changes. 40% less testosterone. Like, that's dumb. Why did I do that? I don't know. I can't answer you. But I felt it, and I felt like crap. I felt a little depressed and, wasn't myself. And I knew what it was, which is great because you can tell your mind, you can argue with yourself. Hey, it's okay. Relax. You'll get over this. As soon as your body gets back in the vibe, the jive of things, you just start changing. You changed it back to 0.4 or 0.45 on the shot. Just give it a couple weeks. You'll be back. And sure enough, I started feeling it after the first week. I could start telling, yeah, okay, I feel a little better. Feeling a little better. Yeah, next day, even a little bit better. 2 weeks, a good full 2 weeks. Going on the third week, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm back. Like, I'm feeling good. And I'm not raging like I was initially either. So I'm still not taking the anastrozole for the estrogen blocker. So I'm not taking any blocker. And I'm doing the testosterone, but I am taking the enclomiphene right now for, let's just say, semen/sperm quality. I have had 2 dreams that Evan, one was pregnant, another dream gave birth in the house, old school style, no more C-section, none of that nonsense. Gave birth in the house with one of our kids helping, and I wasn't here at the time in the dream, but I was talking to her, and I'm like, how do you even know how to do that alone, like at home? And she's like, oh, I just looked it up online, saw it on a video. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's kind of how it is these days, isn't it? But it was 2 dreams, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I know for sure, yeah, my dream says she's going to get pregnant. I think I'm being shown this is a possibility. You're 47, she's 45, but she's had an irregular period her whole life. And because of that, her egg count, which she got a number score recently in some test they did, blood test. I think it was a blood test, P test or blood test or both. And I forget what it's called, but it can basically tell you how many eggs a woman has left in her life, and whatever her number was like a 20 to 30 year old, probably a 20-year-old most likely. So she got a lot of eggs left, she may start menopause or perimenopause way later than most women because of that. So, at any rate, we had the discussion, how do you feel about this? Do you want me to be safe or not? Because I was feeling like I don't care. Like, if we have a kid, it's meant to be. If we have another baby, it's meant to be. She felt exactly the same way. If, between your age and my age and you taking that stuff, she said to me, she's like, I don't think the chance is very high at all to get pregnant. So honestly, if it does happen, it's meant to be. But that's part of the reason why I started taking enclomiphene again. Because I don't want boogery stuff coming out. It needs to be, have in a lot more liquid. And I just, I don't want my NAD shrinking either. There's a couple of things, maybe it's a little bit psychological. Like, I don't want my body shutting down my own hormone production and, what the hell, and they used to prescribe clomiphene back in the day. Now it's enclomiphene. Clomiphene had some side effects and things. Enclomiphene's not nearly like that. So, if I end up having some issues that point to enclomiphene, I'll just stop. It is what it is. I'll just stop taking it. And Evelyn, there's probably, in a few months from now when I stop taking it, the chances go down drastically to where the sperm count's like none. But it usually takes 5 or 6 months to get to that point of not taking enclomiphene or whatever. The fact that I'm still taking testosterone with the enclomiphene, most people say, well, the enclomiphene may not work to its full capacity with you because you're still taking testosterone. Now, if you stop taking testosterone and take the enclomiphene, oh yeah, it'll come back, with a vengeance. But then there goes all the benefits of testosterone. And I got on testosterone for all the benefits, not to decide that, hey, we're in our 40s now, let's have a kid. Which she was 40 when we had Ian, and I was 42. And now I'm 47. So it's just, we both feel it. If it happens, it happens. It's meant to be. But for now, we're just, whatever. life is good. Life is pretty good. So that's my update, and hopefully it helps some people. Take care.